Welcome to the first expression of analogical. I think that analogy is a great way to learn and to express ourselves to others, especially when we've tried other methods and they failed. So first of all, I'd like to take a look at some definitions of the word analogy. Drawing a comparison in order to show a similarity in some respect. An inference that if things agree in some respects, they probably agree in others. Now, for me, I think it goes a bit deeper than that. I believe that analogy is everywhere and exists in everything. I believe that the principles in any field can be applied to all other fields. You just have to know how to match up the pieces. So the topic I'd like to look at today is this idea of getting owned. We see this word all over the internet. It basically means outsmarting and humiliating a perceived opponent, making him look like a fool. So let's take a look at some search results, because you see this all the time on YouTube and in the related videos. You'll see Joe Biden gets owned by so-and-so, or Donald Trump was owned by whatever. So let's see what comes up when we type in owned here. Alright, so the first video, top 5 most entitled Karens who got owned, number 12, 5,300 views. People get owned on camera compilation, 245,000 views. What else we have here? 20 times spoiled kids got owned by parents, 5.7 million views. So as you can see, people quite enjoy seeing others be humiliated and embarrassed on camera and in front of a crowd. If we go over to some image results, you can see this guy. He got owned by something. He doesn't look too good. What else do we have here? Oh, here's a good one. This is probably an Israeli tank and a Palestinian boy. Apparently, the boy is being owned by the tank, I guess. So words are very important, especially when it comes to deciphering information from the media and public figures, because the people involved in these areas usually go off of a script, or at least they rehearse what they're going to say, and they're conscious of the effect that the words they choose will have on the listener. So it's very important that the listener doesn't take for granted any meanings. We shouldn't let our pride or our own ignorance be a stumbling block to understanding the outside world. So whenever we're unsure about what a word means, we really need to look it up or ask someone and see some examples. So if someone is being owned, it implies there's an owner, and presumably the person who is dominating the conversation, that's the person who's the owner. So that's implying a master-slave kind of relationship between person A and person B having an argument. What other type of things do we own? Well, we own products, we own property, we own animals. But if you say you're owning a human being, that's dehumanizing him. It's making him something less than a human. And when it comes to politics or any type of battle, especially war, the leadership of each side has to get the soldiers to dehumanize the other people. Because if side A identified with side B as everyday people just like them, with family and needs and desires just like they have, they wouldn't be too inclined to go over and attack and kill and steal from them. So probably the most important step in building up propaganda for a war or any type of violent conflict is dehumanization, without exception. We see this everywhere when it comes to politics or social issues. If someone doesn't agree with you, we demonize that person just because they have a different opinion. So this word own is also used interchangeably with things like slammed, destroyed, demolished. So you'll see that in the related videos. This person slammed another person, or during this interview, this politician got destroyed by someone else. Okay. But all of this is very violent language. A body slam is a violent attack, a potentially fatal one. If you slam someone on the ground, they could die from that. Of course, destroyed, broken, terminated. Basically ending that person you're arguing with. Demolished. Buildings are demolished by being torn down or blown up with explosives. So there's all of this violent language that we use very nonchalantly, but I think it's important, and I think it has an effect on our memory and on our impression of people we perceive as an enemy. So is this really what we want to do to each other? What is the goal of a conversation or a debate? Is it just an emotional expression where you just let off steam and there's no real solution? Because that seems to be what all of these own videos are about. Not that there's anything wrong with watching those, because we all like to see our point of view being promoted. And we would like to think that if the perceived enemy or the person we disagree with, if they have a wrong view, we would like to see them come over to the right side. And that should apply to ourselves as well. If we have a wrong position and we listen to a conversation or an argument about that, or we engage in an argument ourselves with someone else, the point of that should be learning and reflecting and seeing where maybe the other side is right. So, do we want to perpetuate a master-slave relationship between human beings, which is what getting owned implies? Now, I know it's not to be taken literally, but again, words are very important, and we should at least be aware of the associations between words and the effect that might have. So, after the person is owned in the video, they're humiliated, they might be crying, they might have blushed, they might be sweating and very uncomfortable, and you're satisfied with your defeating them. What comes next? What comes after that? Is that an end in itself? Do we just enjoy destroying other people? And how does the own person move on? What if the person realizes his error and wants to agree with you, but he can't because of the ego and the crowd and everyone standing around with a camera phone out recording it and shouting at them and cheering the other person on? If that person realizes that he's wrong in his view, are we leaving a path for that person to cross over to our side? What would we like the own person to do? Because presumably, if you're arguing with someone, it's because they have a view or they're engaging in some type of behavior that we don't agree with and we would like them to change. But in a heated situation, no one wants to lose their dignity. No one wants to lose face. So that's why we rarely see during a debate, we rarely see someone just say, you know what? You're completely right. I'm coming to your side now. I was wrong. I was an idiot. What was I thinking? That almost never happens. If someone changes their mind on an important issue, it's usually done in their own time and with people that care about them and that they trust. So again, how can that own person move on? How can he come over to the right side as quickly and painlessly as possible? So next is a very scientific diagram that I drew out here. The own person on the left side or the wrong side, and the owners on the right side having a good time, and they're divided by some type of obstruction or difference in view. Okay, so what type of bridge are the people on the right side building for the person on the wrong side to come over? If you think you're right and your view is more reasonable, shouldn't you be building some type of bridge for that person to cross over? Otherwise, what is the point of everything? Is it just entertainment? Do we just watch the video to, fill our bellies, satiate ourselves, and then move on to the next thing? Or do our actions and words have meaning? So the motivation for this video is just to get people to think about that from the own person's perspective. How does that person change his view without losing face and without losing his dignity? And do we make it easy? I think the environment during a debate is not conducive to change or progress or anything positive. It's really like a show. And in 2021, I feel like we really need to move beyond that. We have to evolve as a society, especially here in the United States. We've really been taken away by a whirlwind of events, especially starting last year. So in order for things to get better, we have to change as people. And so that's just something I want people to think about. That's something that's been on my mind. So let me know what you think in the comments. And feel free to send me an email at analogical2021@protonmail.com. Thank you for listening.